welcome to another meeting of the Afterschool Anime Club. I'm your host, Max Newland, and with me today are two of my very best friends in the world. First of all, he's a Joker, and a... I've really painted myself into a corner here, haven't I? Yeah, he is all of those things. Joker, Smoker, Midnight Toker. I don't know if he does that anymore, but...
No comment?
His name is Max Kostrak. Hello.
Hello! So excited to be here to talk about another anime today.
And with me also, she's multi-talented, multifaceted, and
Finish it.
Sounds like such a threat.
Well, you've heard her here. Her name is Stevie Matos. Hello.
Hello. How art thou? Hey there. Hey there.
Well, fine. Welcome to you all. Oh, man.
I can't do that.
Oh, what? You can't talk like this? I've been talking like this for literally a whole month now.
Okay, Doctor Who.
We could have a whole cast of characters.
Oh, no, I really could. No, I've had to talk like this for a job.
Oh, yeah. Are you actually, because you're actually an actor and you do things on a stage.
Yep. I'm doing a show where I have to have a Manchester, England accent.
Oh.
And it's very
Manchester,
weird.
okay.
It sounds like this, kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird.
I could believe it. No, I could believe it.
Yeah. I don't know if you'll watch Ted Lasso, but there's apparently a character that is from Manchester. It's the one who goes, Keely, all the time. But I don't watch Ted Lasso because I don't have Apple TV, so.
Neither do I. So
Yeah.
he'll just remain a mythical figure in the ether.
Good.
Another
Right.
reason is because we spend all our time watching anime here. In
That's
the
right.
Afterschool
This
Correct.
is the anime club.
This is the anime club, not the Ted Lasso club. Sorry. I heard
I mean,
Ted
they
Lasso's
probably
great.
have that somewhere. So the
Oh,
good
yes.
news, if you were looking for the Ted Lasso Club, it may not be here, but just put that in iTunes and you'll see what you get.
Yeah.
After you listen to us talk
Yeah.
about... We're doing Outlaw Star today.
Boom. Yeah, so I picked Outlaw Star for us because it was something that I had a strong connection to around the same time as Tenchi. And also it is just something that I rarely meet people who have like extensive knowledge of Outlaw Star, so I thought this would be a cool niche subject for us to cover.
I agree. This is another one I have never seen, so I'm getting a fresh take. And I feel like I'm exploring a missed timeline where I watched more anime in the past.
I definitely watched it when I was younger, but I watched it in fits and starts. So and then I watched it recently before now as an adult. So I was like, ooh.
This is actually my first time going back to this since I was 10 years old, child.
Oh, nice. A wee lad of 10 years.
The shine has somewhat come off the apple, but not in like a very intense way. I did still have a lot of fun watching these first
I
two
had
episodes.
fun with this one, yeah.
It's a good time.
Before we get into our summary, before we get into our game, how did you all enjoy this?
I thought it was really fun. I like that it's going for something a little darker and a little more like trying to be a little bit more adult.
Yeah, I think this is very different, and I think, as we continue along here, we're obviously going to build a narrative between our different shows. So we started with Tenchi, which is very much its own thing, which we have already talked about extensively for 3 episodes.
Right.
And now we are shifting over to a very different thing.
Very different. Mm-hmm. I was like always, because I'm always like outfits. I was like the fashion is so
The
good.
hair.
Right? Everybody's hair is so spiky. But I've always loved this, like the space element of it all. I love space. I love
love that
robots.
crunchy spaceship anime. Like, it's just, it's so good. And I am sorry, we're getting too deep into this, aren't we?
We are.
Newland, do you have a game for us?
It's really good that you said that because I went in a similar direction with the game. There's going to be some information coming out that you'll be like, oh, interesting. And I didn't prepare. I hope you weren't expecting a new game for every single episode. I did go back. I did decide that since we're starting a new series, it would be good to go back to basics.
Edutainment. We're going to learn and play a game?
I love this.
I've prepared a game for you called No Need for Trivia.
We're just keeping the name there.
Yeah, we're just keeping the name. It's the same game. Like, who cares? We're building this plane as we fly it.
Yeah, let's go.
I don't remember who won the last game, so let's go with what I did in the very first episode again. Who here most recently watched anime that was not prescribed for this program?
When did you watch anime today? Did you watch anime today?
Yes, but it was this morning. It was pretty early this morning before work. I rewatched 1015 of One Piece.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
No. I've been watching Food Wars recently, but
I've heard of that.
Oh,
I've seen a preview that upset me.
It's wild. It's wild. Recommend though.
Kostrak, you're going to get the first question here. So, question 1.
I'm ready.
Outlaw Star shares a lot in common with the American sci-fi drama Firefly, including the Girl in a Box starting incident. Which of these Series came first?
I'm psyching myself out here. I'm going to say Outlaw Star, which I know came out in Japan in 98. I feel like Firefly had to have been after that.
You were correct. Firefly was 2002.
I was so worried that my entire world was about to be rocked to its core.
You took your life and your land and somewhere where it could not stand. Proud of you. That's the opening lyrics of the Firefly theme song.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. Very good.
In fact, they had an even bigger lead than you thought, because the Outlaw Star is based on a manga which was first released in 96.
Ah.
Ooh, okay.
So, yeah, it was not an original idea in 2002 when they did that.
Good job, Joss.
Okay, Stevie, are you ready for question number 2?
Let's go.
Series mechanical designer Shoji Kawamori has designed ships and mecha for a lot of popular anime. Can you name at least one? The two big hints are he's designed ships and mecha. Both things. And the other thing is that, like, he is so prolific that many of your guesses will probably be correct.
Thinking of the ship designs, and I'm thinking of, like, what they always remind me of, and I want to say Cowboy Bebop?
That's correct.
Yes!
Shoji Kawamori, who worked on Cowboy Bebop, also designed specifically the ship that this show is named after, Outlaw Star.
Yes.
That is really interesting, because I can see that similarity in the way they're like mechanically put together, and that crunchiness I mentioned earlier.
You know what
really
it is for me?
Yes.
It's very specifically, and we're not there yet, but we kind of saw some of it in like the first episode, I think in like the flashback or the second episode. Yeah, the second episode. First episode. Anyway, there's a spaceship that has arms. And Jet spaceship has arms in Outlaw and Cowboy Bebop.
Ship arms.
I think probably the biggest thing he's known for is Macross. He did all of the mech designs for all of the Macross series, and also quite a bit more. He was also director and writer on many episodes.
Wow, I've never seen Macross.
If you've seen Robotech, what we called in the US Robotech, you've seen a bit of Macross. Because Robotech is a weird thing. They just smashed a bunch of anime together into one show.
Perfect.
I didn't know that. I've never seen Robotech.
Very good.
It's worth covering on this show, I think, even though it is kind of a travesty.
Add it to the
list.
Putting
a pin in that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Question number 3. This one's for you, Max Kostrak.
Yes.
Gene Starwind shares a first name with a sci-fi TV showrunner whose spacefaring series is still going strong today. What franchise did Gene's namesake create?
Okay, good. I know the answer to this because I can't remember the last name, but it's Star Trek. It's Gene. Is it Roddenberry?
Correct on both counts.
Sorry, I was so excited. I was like, it's Gene Roddenberry.
We're kicking ass, Stevie.
We really are. Let's fucking go.
I'm asking you. Well, yeah. I'm asking you a lot fewer questions about like Japanese culture and Shinto and things like that. I tried to make it a little easier this time. This is another one that is similar to that one. Question number 4 for you, Stevie. Jim Hawking also shares a name with someone famous. This one is fictional, however. What pirate-themed story does Jim Hawking's namesake hail from?
Oh no, I was so ready for the real person, and
This one's not a real person.
it's not a real person. You said a pirate?
It's a pirate-themed story. Very famous pirate story.
Treasure Island?
That's absolutely correct.
Oh my god.
Which we have to talk about how much this... I feel like that reference makes this Treasure Planet, right?
Yes, this is a very like Treasure Island type series. Yeah. Very similar plot beats in these first 2 episodes.
That made me stress sweat.
I was ready to pounce Stevie. I was like, I know this.
I do not know.
This next one might throw you for a loop, though, Max.
Uh-oh.
Question number 5. The key pirates use Dao magic, which requires them to chant the magic words Pagua Sonfa over and over again. What does Pagua Sonfa mean?
Here's the problem. I don't think I can call on my Japanese knowledge for this because I believe, because it's Dao magic, this is all Chinese.
That's a reasonable assumption.
Will you say the magic words one more time?
Pagua Sonfa.
Oh, I have no fucking idea. I'm going to pass. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I do not know what little like non-European language I know is Japanese.
I have a hint for you, which is that knowledge of foreign languages will not necessarily help you with this.
Got it. Okay. That's good to know. What does it mean? I can't even guess without sounding like a really horrible American. So I truly do not know.
Well, I'm glad to tell you that the pressure is off. You're not a horrible American. Pagua Sonfa is gibberish. It means nothing.
Oh, thank God.
A trick question.
It was a trick question.
You jester.
It was created to sound like Chinese by the original Japanese.
Wow, and it
writer.
did, to be honest.
Especially when they're just doing it over and over again, and there's the obvious symbology flowing around them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't put the effort in. They didn't come up with a real thing.
Well, they didn't put effort into a lot of things if you looked too closely.
Yeah, well, and we'll get to this. We took a close look at a couple of frames.
Yeah, we sure did.
All right, one last question to get out of the way, and it's for you, Stevie.
Okay.
When Outlaw Star premiered on Toonami in 2001, it was heavily censored for Western audiences.
Oh, yes.
What changes, if any, were made to the reveal of Melfina at the end of episode 1?
Was she wearing a jumpsuit?
Can you go into more detail?
Was she wearing like a, oh my gosh, my brain can only think of like the Neon Genesis Evangelion kind of esque suits.
So like you're talking like full body coverage?
Like a full body coverage?
It's incorrect, unfortunately.
Oh no, what?
That means it goes to me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna take a wild guess that I think would be very funny, based on Tenchi, is that they put her in basically like a 2-piece swimsuit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes!
Yeah, she basically looks like she's wearing a sports bra and bike shorts.
Oh, okay. So
okay, not exactly
not a bikini per se, but it is a 2-piece. Yeah.
Well, they keep the style because we'll talk later about how they put Hilda in the second episode.
God. Yep.
It's very cool though. Very cool. Biker shorts and sports bra.
Well, you all did really, really well. I'm very proud of you. Thank you for playing my game today.
Of course.
Thank you, Jigsaw.
You're welcome.
We do die if we get under a certain score.
Yes.
They haven't gotten
I've been
there
trying
yet.
to fail every time.
Please release us.
Oh, God.
Once we finish Tenchi Universe, I'll release you. Okay, so longtime listeners know game is over. That means what comes up next is, in case you didn't watch along with us, we're going to read a brief summary of what happened on these 2 episodes. Episode 1, Outlaw World, opens on an active chase. Hot Ice Hilda is on the run from a group of space pirates. We quickly shift our focus, however, to the planet Sentinel-3, where Death Rob is on the hunt for a man called Gene, who is gambling with a child at the bar. After a quick tussle and a night on the town, we learn that child was Gene's business partner, Jim. A new client using the name Rachel engages their outfit, Starwind and Hawking, on a special mission that has Jim feeling suspicious. Gene takes a meeting with her to review the job, and they're cornered and chased by the pirates from earlier. Rachel's ruse is revealed, and closing in fast, the pirates turn out to be more than a match for Gene's traditional weaponry. So he breaks out the big guns, Caster Shell number 3. Once they arrive at their destination, we learn the unseemly truth about the treasure everyone's after. It's a girl in a box. In episode 2, World of Desires, Hilda spills the beans in exchange for some repairs. The beans are thus: Hilda's an outlaw who killed the pirate's boss some years ago. Speaking of pirates, they're here, and they're issuing an ultimatum. Gene's caster gun fails at a critical moment, but Hilda and Jim arrive with air support just in time. Cargo girl Melfina's resuscitation now completed, our 4 heroes escape to Hilda's ship in the nick of time. Before arriving at their destination, though, we flash back to Gene's childhood and the traumatic memory that's kept him landlocked for years. At the Outlaw City, Blue Heaven, Jim and Melfina bond over the local culture and pick her up some sweet duds, while Gene and Hilda talk particulars. She's after a special ship, too. A grappler ship, in fact. Hilda can't stop herself from starting trouble, but she's proficient at finishing, too. Though it comes back to bite her later when the goons from the bar move in for revenge. And we leave on that cliffhanger.
We do.
A whole lot of shit happens in these 2 episodes, you guys.
Yeah, this is a fast-moving show in a good way, I think.
Yeah, it really wraps you up.
Yeah, it sets it all up immediately. You're like, cool, this is where we're at. Awesome.
Yeah, we've got some powers in play, we've got technology, and we've got magic.
Yep.
Yes. So one of the first things they introduce you to here is that once we're on Sentinel-3, they make very certain to show that not only is this like the future and we're in space, there are cyborgs here. And they're common enough that you might not know that you're talking to one.
Yeah. Yeah,
cool,
the technology
cool.
in this show is really cool. Like, and these Gene and Jim aren't necessarily like, big wigs, got a lot of money. They're 2 guys who run like essentially they're scrappers. Like they literally are just like like mechanics, anything, jacks for hire, jack of all trades for hire. So it's really cool just what technology is exists in the world, because yes, that was one of my favorite things, is that Jim flips out this little thing and is like, he's this kind of cyborg, and I was like, yo, that's sick.
What a cool combination these 2 guys are.
Yeah.
And it sets up their relationship too, as Gene being the guy who shoots first and Jim being the guy who is trying to analyze the situation.
Trying to be the brains. He called himself the brains of the operation, I think, in one of our episodes.
Yes.
Which is great.
Because he's 11 years old.
I think it's a good duo. I think that's always fun. You've got the reckless guy and the person chastising him.
Absolutely, the entire time. You've got this, and I like how even though Jim is 11, Jim is still more emotionally mature and responsible than Gene.
Yeah. And he's constantly giving Gene shit for how immature he is.
Yes.
Poor his emotional regulation is.
Yes. I'm like, so we know who pays the rent here. Great.
Hi, I'm an adult man, and my intellectual equal and business partner is 11 years old. I let him drive the car.
Right. He can't flip an egg, but he can fix an arm.
He can fly a spaceship.
Egg flipping. Yeah.
That was the cutest. He's like, dang it. And Gene just flips it. And I was like,
Gene doesn't even let him have the egg.
No.
Jim started the fucking omelet, and Gene's the one eating it.
Rude. I figured that they both had eggs, except that Gene decided to put his in a sandwich. That's my headcanon.
We're coming to you with the hard-hitting anime food news on this damn TV podcast.
I care about food.
Food is important. You were just watching Food Wars. I know food is important.
So good.
One of the first notes I took here is just in all caps, Death Rob.
Death Rob's such a good name. if you are able to, and remember, he got this name because he killed 30 people.
Yes.
If you are able to do that and get death at the front of your name, I mean, that's unbeatable.
Hell of a
That was
calling card,
Death
isn't it?
Max. Death Stevie.
Death Max is a really cool name. I only laughed because I was surprised at how cool it sounded.
That's what the kids on TikTok are doing. They're death maxing.
I had a horrible image as to what death maxing would have been, and it involves warheads, and I don't recommend
Oh,
it.
Jesus.
No.
I was wondering if we could talk timeline for a second.
Oh, yeah,
I
totally,
was
please.
doing some, as you do sometimes, I was just Googling, and that's where I got the 98 number earlier.
Nice.
For the release of this. The curious thing here, and what is obviously going to be a comparison point for us later, is that Cowboy Bebop also came out in 98.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it
shit.
feels very weird to me that these two anime are in the same year, because Outlaw Star, especially the hair, made me think that this was way older than it was.
Yeah. Not just that, the faces too, right?
Yeah,
But I
the
guess
style
the
of
big,
this.
big eyes, little nose, little mouth,
And
like,
really
yeah.
heavy inks, like insanely heavy ink outlines on all of these characters, and it's variable too, right? Like for some like action poses and things, you'll get much more striking lines, whereas like you can see where maybe they didn't have a whole lot of budget, you know? And that's another difference between this and the show we just finished. Tenchi's an OVA. They have a big chunk of money they get to spend however they want on 6 episodes. This is a little different. This is a TV series.
So they were working under some very different limitations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which does make sense. So, I will say some of the animation you can tell in between did not have a solid level of effort across the board. But I will say each of these 2 episodes had quite a bit of action in them.
Oh, yeah.
A lot,
they're very action-packed. And it's not just like ship combat in space, which is what it opens with. Like, there are some really cool kung fu fighting moments in this. Like, Gene scraps with these pirates, and it's awesome.
One of my favorite things is that Gene actually, as you can kind of sort of tell, he's really not that great of a fighter. If he doesn't have a gun in his hands, he's kind of like evading until he can figure out how to overpower a person. It's very obvious when he's fighting Death Rob, because when he runs out of bullets, he pulls out a knife and he's kind of okay at it, but like the animation on that is also really cool. Another version is when he's fighting the ninjas in the street, and all of the dodging the guy's hands was very cool.
Yeah, it's really neat, and I do think his reliance on guns and technology is very funny in that. And
Same.
There's these moments where he is humbled by it. Not only Max, you mentioned during the recap where his caster fails at a critical moment, but my favorite comedic moment in the first episode when they get in the car, they're about to make a getaway. It takes off for 1 second, and then hits the ground. And then jump cut to them in the back fixing it. Perfect moment.
There is a lot of really interesting timing in these 2 episodes. I don't know how much you guys picked up on that, but there's the first place I noticed it was Jim is telling Gene about the job that they got from Rachel, and Gene has some comment about how she's really pretty or whatever, and Jim holds, like, the camera just holds on Jim's face, totally silent for about a second, and he says, "Women will be the death of you someday."
Yes.
And he let that moment live for so long, like way longer than I thought he was.
They let sexual innuendo just hang. The sexual innuendo bits they don't go on like too
live
long.
In this.
But they just live in them. Like, there's one in the second episode when after everyone's making fun of Gene for going to space for the first time since he was a kid, and Jim's like, "Oh, popped your cherry," and like he doesn't stop making
cherry.
Yeah, popped your space cherry, and like he doesn't stop ribbing Gene for being I guess a space virgin. He's like, "You better quit it or I'm gonna essentially beat your ass." And I'm just like, they do this all of the time. Like the other moment when Gene's going to the to see a sex worker, right? And he's like, "Well, if you want to come with me, we can turn you into a man tonight." And Jim's like, "What?"
I'm 11.
11? Like, yeah. Like,
excuse me?
come on.
You're an adult.
Poor Kwasser. Like, yeah, absolutely.
They also use this for drama in some places. When episode 2 opens, Jean has Hilda hostage, essentially, and she is really stalling. Like, she's really, really playing for time in these moments. And I thought that was interesting because it demonstrates a really strong push and pull and a sense of urgency in the plot. Being built at a very early stage.
I agree. Yeah, that was compelling. Like, you could tell that's what's going on. Can I just say I like Hilda as a character so far.
Oh fuck yeah,
Hilda's
cool.
dope.
Yeah, she kicks ass.
Hilda's a dope.
Speaking of timing, like, there's a moment where she pulls out essentially like a taser against these three guys.
I love that.
And she darts in, 1, 2, 3, pops them. And again, there's a moment where I thought my thing had frozen for a second. Because there's a moment where they're all standing there, nobody moves, and then they collapse.
Yeah.
Hilda doesn't take shit.
Good stuff.
I like that. Hilda is a diggity dope. She's so cool. She sticks around for a while, if I recall correctly. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of her. Yeah, she sticks around for a while. But yeah, I like how they use this. They also use it for going back to the drama thing. The moments of silence is when you see it, and we'll see it absolutely definitely more with Memphina. But Memphina has a lot of moments of silence where she just has to sit in emotion. We saw a couple of those. We saw one like when she was in the dressing room, and one like before she actually got dressed, she was crying, and it was like. So it's cool because they use that, they use it for levity, but they also absolutely use it for drama because it is still very much like in its way like a space noir because it deals with kind of people who are thrown together but still feel very isolated. I get that vibe in these first couple of episodes. There's
a phrase that I hear associated with noir, which is shake the tree and see what falls out. Ooh. That's what these guys are constantly doing. Like they're never stymied for how to proceed. They know where they need to go and what information they need. It might be tough to get, but they're going to do something. They're very action-oriented protagonists, which I love. Yes.
It does. It makes it very fun. It has a good pace.
Yes.
Speaking of so there's Hilda and then there's Melfina, who is that her name?
Yes.
The girl in the box?
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see, I feel like we do not know enough about this character yet. I feel like she's only had sort of a few almost like entirely off screen, just like where she's hanging out. There is the dressing room and some of that, but just seems to be more like an unaware person. I do love that her very first line after waking up is, "Why did I have to be born?"
Yeah.
That's dark.
Mood, huh?
She's so sad.
Melfina's an interesting character. A weird similarity between this and Tenchi is that she is the kind of like artificial person. Similar to Ryoko, except obviously very different personality-wise. I was
going to say, this is like seems unaware or like...
Yeah.
It needs to learn how to be a person, maybe? I don't know. We'll see.
There's some cool stuff there.
Hey, but there's one thing I did learn from episode 2 that I think is really important we touch on.
What?
All men were once boys.
And all boys will become men.
Like the first 2 minutes of that second episode is this long monologue about the boy and
it's very heavy-handed.
And about men becoming boys and or boys becoming men.
Men becoming wolves. Outlaw bar mitzvah. Spooky
scary.
I sing that out loud once a week. No joke.
Same.
To this day.
On the subject of spooky SNL things, I actually was able to drop a David S. Pumpkins reference in training today. I definitely hit somebody with an any questions? Oh, God.
So the speech at the beginning is strange. I will say what is cool to me is the gunshot transitions. It makes it feel like, like a Wild West show or something.
Yes, absolutely. It's so cool.
I don't know if you noticed the eye catches. The like commercial break eye catches, they're so high energy. They're like the most high energy eye catches I've ever seen. That
tickled like middle school brain for me. I was like, man, I remember these. These are sick. This and the closing song, the closing theme. So sad, so wistful.
There was some exposition in episode 2 that I want to touch on with you all, which is it's given to us by the little trash can boy, whose name is Swanzo.
Swanzo, yes.
Yeah, Swanzo's cool. I like Swanzo. Did you know that he is wearing a suit?
Yeah.
That is not a robot. It is a little frog man who has to wear a little suit.
Because it's like full of, he's like an amphibian. So like if you notice, like, so his, you know, where his eyes pop, he looks like a droid, right? But like,
I
there's
fully thought he was a robot.
No, where his eyes pop out, there's a tube, and I'm like, oh, he's in a tank.
Yeah.
That's way cooler.
He's like Tali from Mass Effect, basically. He has like a little gas environment in there that he needs.
And everybody wants to fuck him. Sorry.
Sorry, I did it right into the microphone.
Sorry for swearing.
It's probably true. There's somebody out there. Something for everyone. But anyway, I brought him up because he gives us some key exposition here, which is that there are 3 distinct powers in the world. Mm-hmm. There's the law, the pirates, and the outlaws.
Cool.
And specifically, outlaws are like distinct from both in that they don't have an alignment. So like by not having an alignment, they're kind of aligned with each other.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, because there was rules on Blue Heaven.
Yes.
Right? Where it was
guns,
like, no guns.
It's a space station and we'll all die.
Yeah, and so it's like...
Smart.
And they were essentially like heavily insinuating that we'll just essentially fucking airlock you if you fire a gun on this space station. You will be killed.
Zero tolerance.
Yeah, absolutely. Which was actually kind of cool for that second episode when it came to the fights and the animation of the fights because nobody could fight with a gun.
Mm-hmm. Which up to this point was Gene's like whole thing, his magic gun.
Yeah, his whole thing was his magic gun. So it was really cool to see, you know, the taser knuckles and like the cool like electric tridents. Everybody fights with electricity.
Can I just say, speaking, like, you mentioned, Stevie, earlier that like some of this was like really lighting up your kid brain, those gunshot transitions.
Yes.
You know what lit my kid brain up like crazy when I was watching this? A gun that shoots magic.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's the dream.
It is absolutely. They don't, and they kind of hint about that. Like the only real hint that the gun is literal magic is that the key pirates, when he's shooting them, literally say that's old magic. Like that's
they say old magic.
And it's called a caster.
Yeah.
Yes.
A caster.
And it's called a caster, like casting magics.
Big Mommy Gunbreaker over here was like, let's go.
Let's go. I really love the way that the shells that have like this distinct economy. Like it's a big deal that he had to use 3 of them. It's
a fantastic limitation. So it's like if there's a guy who could fire a giant screen-wide laser, he should only have a couple of those.
Correct. And I like how it doesn't get to be used as like this constant like Deus Ex in fights.
Absolutely.
And I also like how there's this insinuation that different bullets do different things where he's like, oh man, that was the only 3 I had. And I was like, first of all.
And they can be duds. It's another layer of tension.
They can be duds. Yeah.
Like, this is not a fight ender. This is the tool that he uses to stay alive.
Right. Like, and it's a last resort because he's not a bad shot. It's just when it's like, oh, my regular gun doesn't work. Also, my bazooka doesn't work. Also, my chopped off pistol doesn't work. I guess I'll use the caster.
Gotta get the caster out.
And it's against the magic users. This came up during trivia, right? These Tao priests. They're called
the Key Pirate Guild. K-E-I.
Okay, the Key Pirate. Okay, and they're using, is it Tao magic?
Yes. That just, oh my God, my
brain.
They
say Tao magic on the show, but that's
to pronounce it correctly, it would be Tao.
But you said key, and did y'all notice? Just my brain. I had to do that gasp because I had a eureka moment. Did y'all notice that the ninjas have a Q around one eye?
Holy fucking shit, Stevie!
Yo,
you just cracked this wide open.
Yo,
I never noticed. I genuinely never noticed that. I'm actually.
I did not notice that either.
I didn't understand why they had an uppercase Q like on their mask. There's one frame where like right when Gene's fighting them in the alley, there's one close up frame of like their face before he headbutts them, and my first thought was, is that a steel mask? Because that would be very ineffective. Sorry, fight director brain all of the time. But the other thing I noticed was over one eye there's an uppercase, like there's a red ring with a tail, and it looks very much like an uppercase letter Q.
Okay,
in like
I'm seeing
Western letters. Yeah, do you see? I was like, so you saying the Key Pirates? I was like, QI. Like that black
cool.
kid like gif like zooming through space is me right now.
I loved these guys, the like ninja dudes. I thought they were so fucking cool when I was a kid.
I thought it was so cool that the wizard turned them into a little ship for him to ride.
Yes.
So funny. I was like, what is I could not believe it as it was happening on screen, as they all like did a dance and flipped around and became a platform.
Yes.
I literally thought like they were gonna like shape shift, but no, they just arranged their bodies into a donut.
Yes,
and he rides
with
it.
guns on the side.
Yeah,
with laser guns on the side.
That's the power of magic.
Heck yeah.
This is what magic looks like.
This is the magic that I accept.
He does do real magic, though, because he summons a big-ass dragon made out of water.
It's water? I thought it was like cool smoke.
It looked like water, but it was blue something.
It's bright blue, flowy kind of dragon.
Oh, but that would make sense because they're in a field. You can pull water out of like anything in a field. So
I also feel like they're not following the rules that closely.
No.
I feel like magic so far can kind of just do stuff.
I mean, the great thing about magic in general is that you just essentially like in any sort of storytelling, unless like it is like a story about magic and there are like types of magic users, you don't need to explain the rules. People will figure it out. They'll keep
Outlaw Star is pointedly not the kind of show that's going to explain those rules to you because it doesn't fucking
cool.
matter.
I'm fine with that. Sometimes I like an anime that just doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
I was a fan of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Boom. Exactly.
Yeah, and 100%. That guy was making it up fully as he went.
As he went.
Week by week.
Truly, because, I mean, come on. When you'd have an entire episode that was just somebody doing the second part of a Kamehameha, he was making it
sometimes
up.
You get tired. Sometimes you have a week where it's like, I'm going to put off work.
Right.
Yeah, he's charging the spirit bomb.
Yeah. Again.
Right.
No, it didn't work the past 2 times he tried it, but, you know, we're doing it.
We're going to do it again. Right.
Maybe it'll work this time. I don't know. Leave me alone. Right. I'm playing Myst on my computer.
I sometimes feel like I'm the only person who knew that game existed. Thank you for saying it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you.
In addition to magic, we also have spaceships in this TV show.
Yep.
This is the first TV show I've ever seen. You mentioned it had it in a Cowboy Bebop, but this is the first TV show I've ever seen where they make a big deal out about the fact that these things have arms.
Yeah.
These things got arms. Yeah. They will grab you.
This spaceship can punch.
Yeah, they'll punch you. This boat's got punchins.
Oh man, that ship just flicked me off.
And you'll see a lot more of that as we go on. It's as we learned in episode 2, Hilda's after what she calls a grappler ship.
These ships are the octopodes of space.
That's in our future.
Is that literal? Is it going to like suplex other ships?
You know what? Let's not say anything, Stevie.
I was like, I don't want to spoil it for you.
No, let's not say anything.
Don't.
I don't want to.
I will be hopefully pleasantly surprised.
I mean, I feel like saying that these ships are the octopodes of space is like more than enough of a hint.
Yes.
Because if you know anything about octopus,
and I do.
Great. Good. Because kind of that.
I feel like I know everything now.
Kind of that, honestly.
There are some other things I wanted to touch on. There were some names dropped in this episode, in episode 2 specifically. When Hilda and the gang arrive on Blue Heaven, Swanzo says, "Guy named McCoy's looking for you," and we meet McCoy.
McCoy this, McDougal that.
Now there's the other one. The McDougals are the McDougal brothers he says, are also in town. What is up with all the Scottish names?
Dang it, Jim, I'm a thug, not a doctor.
Oh shit! Another Star Trek reference that I didn't clock.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there are some very interestingly named characters in this TV show. McDougal is kind of a strange name for what these guys will end up becoming. But I was kind of shocked we didn't get introduced to more major characters in these first 2 episodes.
Yeah, because from the opening, I know that we've got a couple more on the way.
Yeah, we do. We have a couple more. And some of them come later than you expect. That's not a big spoiler.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them just come a lot later than you'd expect because they're in the opening credits for a while. And you're like, who is this? Have I seen this?
Who the fuck is this?
Who the fuck is this? It truly happens that way. I think one of the good things is that we got introduced to like the absolute key players at this point, which is obviously the most is very important. But yeah, we've got some other people who are going to come up way later, and by the time they come up, you're like, wait a minute, huh? But I'm looking forward to that too. I also, one thing we haven't talked about, mostly because it like freaked our beans before this, was Hilda's fake persona ID, Rachel.
We are now entering into the ID discussion zone. We have to sit down and talk about this, all three of us.
Talk about this, because this is the thing that made me stop and rewind and pause.
Yeah, I screenshot my way through these episodes, and this one was a primo screenshot. I will post it on our Twitter.
Yes.
So you can read every line of this wonderful ID that they throw up on the screen for, I'd say, about 5 seconds or so.
Yes, this absolutely redunculous ID. First of all, thank y'all for knowing what 3 size meant. Also, ew, David.
Yeah, not happy that we figured that one out collectively.
Yeah,
okay, so let me just describe this so we have a baseline for anyone listening who doesn't have our Twitter pulled up. This is essentially Hilda, who at the time is going by Rachel Sweet.
With 2 L's, critically. Rachel Sweet.
Yeah, who Jim sort of pulls up on Google, essentially, and her profile it's not a lot of relevant information for someone who needs to like work with her professionally. I'm going to list off a few things here. Figure, very good. Date of birth, blood type, height spelled wrong, weight, age, sex, and then what we discussed the most here, 3 size, which it lists as dynamite. Her 3 size is dynamite.
Yeah. So in the future, your ID will objectify you.
Yes.
Twice.
Absolutely twice. And then looking at the date, she was born in 88 and she was 23 years old.
That's the funniest thing here to me.
Which made it that this whole like universe is set in like, what did I say? Like 2011?
Yeah, if you're born in 88 and you're 23 years old,
2011. It was 2011.
Wow, how optimistic.
I was like, so humanity failed us in multiple ways. One, don't have spaceships, not terraforming other planets, don't have but not a failure, not horribly objectifying IDs that are on the internet of
they're just on Google.
On the internet of a pool cue designer.
You know what? Right. If Facebook had initially evolved a little bit differently, as we know, its origins, this could very well be what happens anytime you Google somebody.
Right. Absolutely. That's true, because that was the whole point of Facebook.
Max Kostrak, figure, it just has a frowny face.
I'd also like to point out that her cover identity that she created for herself is a 4-H kid who went to Liberty Bell Universal College. Which is also really
Liberty Bell.
Liberty Bell. And then she got like an agriculture degree or something. They mentioned something about agriculture.
I'm looking at the screenshot right now, by the way. It is not Liberty Bell.
Is it?
Liberty Bell with a V.
No.
Liberty.
No.
What?
All right. Well, it was only on screen for 5 seconds.
Yeah, you know what? Nobody has to double check this.
They expected nobody to read it. That's what they expected.
Mm-hmm. These are all jokes hidden here specifically for us.
Yes, I appreciate the Easter eggs that may never come up again.
I found it very compelling that Gene has this like childhood trauma about space.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's really interesting. He gets over it really fast, but
kind of. I mean, he's having these bad dreams. I mean, he makes it to space, but you can tell I think it's still traumatic somewhat.
Yeah, he wasn't comfortable in takeoff.
And his 11-year-old buddy just fucking making fun of him the whole time.
Ribbing him the whole time.
Demoralizing, truly.
I I find it interesting about the trauma because it's like, especially because we see this kind of like conflict, this internal conflict between him where he wants to go to space. He mentions it, that he's infatuated with the concept of space, but he's never really taken any steps towards going into space because he wants to be considered an outlaw. He wants to be considered a bounty hunter, but bounty hunters need a spaceship in order to bounty hunt.
He has this desire for freedom that he exercises by living this kind of like fast and loose lifestyle on this kind of backwatery planet.
Genuinely fascinating character traits. I think this is pretty well built.
Yeah, because he's like he's gonna be he's got depth. He's getting set up, and I'm hoping that he's gonna be a character with depth to him and not just some like space sad boy.
Yeah, if we could get some growth over the course of these episodes,
that would be great.
I don't remember too much sad boy. Which, if that's what no matter what direction that moves the needle for you, dear viewer.
I like sad boys that become less sad.
Yes.
How do you like a sad boy with a catchphrase?
Isn't that just the band Brand New?
Oh, you didn't have to do them like that.
I like it when one of us delivers a joke and you can audibly hear it knock the breath out of somebody else. That's such a good moment.
We got shooters out here, all right? You better.
I felt that in your 2003 bangs, Newland. I felt that for you.
Not to transition us away with another quote, but I do have one more I wanted to touch on here. Who I thought was a robot, who is in fact a frogman. He does have a line here. He establishes the Space Forces, the pirates, the outlaws, and then he drops this baller line where he goes, "Good or bad doesn't figure into solidarity and sense of duty." Where did that come from? What?
Oh, yeah. What?
Yeah, outlaws stick up for one another. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the run from the law and they're on the run from pirates, so they gotta support
Snitches
one another.
get stitches.
Solidarity.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I like that. I mean, and that's kind of what I like about like these factions that they have, where it's like they do have their own codes. And it's like, they're like, we're going to stick to them. And if you're going to be part of us, then you've got to stick to these codes. Either you're in or you're out. And it's kind of nice how those are like the social laws of this world that we're getting introduced to in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do with these factions, because we have like lawful good, we've got the evil pirates, and then there are the outlaws where it's like, can we just live, please?
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of stuff. These three forces are going to come to be very well defined over the course of the series.
Oh, cool.
We'll meet a lot of people who with different motivations and different allegiances. The show has a through line to its plot, but it does have enough time to do some kind of like one-off, like monster of the week kind of storytelling. Not really monster, but you know what I mean. Like,
is it kind of that sort of Cowboy Bebop style where we are... There is something to build to, but we have a lot of contained stories along the way that are maybe helping to develop.
Yeah.
And it's a similar style of thing where it's like, we got to keep the lights on. Money is a thing in this world.
Yeah.
And bullets are not free.
Apparently not. They sounded pretty expensive.
Yeah, and they're hard to get specifically for the caster because the caster... Because the casters
you just can't get those at the store?
It's a rare gun. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. They did say it was old magic.
Yeah, that's why they're like, it's old magic because like, and so it's heavily, and that's why when Gene was like, give me the number 3 bullet, and Jim was like, that's the last one we have. Yeah, he's like, that's the last one we've got. And he was like, give it to me anyway, kind of thing. Like that was a thing. Yeah. So yeah, it's like, it's rare. So like, yeah, and I like how that's like that's a constant like environmental kind of like pressure that they have because it keeps them motivated to do things. And like you were saying, Newland, about like how it's like there's a through line like Cowboy Bebop, but Cross Track, like there's a through line like there's Cowboy Bebop, but there's contained stories that's also aided in the fact that of their profession, right, where they're like jacks of all trades / bounty hunters. So so there are episodes that they are getting closer to like the through the plots like goal, but they do have to do like all these other like contained things on the way in order to reach that goal, which introduces to a bunch of really dope characters.
Nice.
Character work in this is great.
It is really good.
I mean, obviously we can tell Gene has some cool stuff going on. All of the characters are so fun
I love
in this
Jim
show.
so much.
We haven't met my favorite character. None of you will be surprised by which of these characters is my favorite.
It's Ryoko again.
Don't worry
Spoiler.
about it. Yeah, when we meet the Ryoko of this series,
I'm going to say, I think even just from the preview and the opening, I have made a guess.
well, I can't help who I am.
No.
And you shouldn't apologize.
You shouldn't.
For
You
it.
shouldn't
The heart wants what it
apologize.
wants.
Best friends know best friends, okay? It's okay.
It's true.
It's okay. We still love
And
you.
on that note, I think, thank you very much, Steve.
You're welcome.
On that note, I think we can wrap it up here. Next episode, I think we should watch 2 more because it kind of creates a tidy little mini arc the way this one did.
Yep.
And we'll get to learn a little bit more about what Hilda's after. We'll meet some more interesting people, and we'll kind of learn a bit. We'll learn what the stakes are here. What is the core of this story? We're going to find out soon.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Let's go.
That bell means this week's meeting of the Afterschool Anime Club has come to a close. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you, and if you'd like to follow us online, you can do so at Anime Club Pod on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Max Newland. Stevie, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at asmattering on both platforms.
And how about you, Mr. Kostrak?
You can find me and interact with me on Twitter. It's at Max_attacks.
And this is the first time that we've been recording, and I can say this live. Afterschool Anime Club is a proud member of the Moonshot Network.
A fantastic group.
They're so great.
Some of the nicest and most creative people I've met in my professional career. You can find a lot of their work by following them on Twitter at Moonshot Pods. They also have a Patreon and a Twitch channel that we will be streaming with from time to time. I already have some plans. I'm looking at Hard Space Shipbreaker, thinking about doing a stream of that, because that seems like a fun game.
I have to get a capture card to stream.
I may not, we may discover that I need one as well.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. And you can find those at twitch.tv/Moonshot Network. You can support them on Patreon, and by transitive property, support us at patreon.com/Moonshot Network.
Yes.
But of course, since our show's new, the best thing you can do is tell your friends, tell your family.
Yell it into the streets.
Absolutely.
And then leave a 5-star review with a rating on Apple Podcasts. And again, so long as it's not chicken-headed shit, you may hear my voice reading it on the air.
Yes, no chicken-headed shit.
But, and not to scare you off, regular shit is fine.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You are welcome to come shitpost.
The CHS embargo, it does not imply to plain old shitposting.
Just chicken-headed shit posting.
Exactly, yes.
That don't fly
And you should
here.
know, if you don't know the difference, maybe hold off. Read the room.
Thank you for the 5-star review, though.
Yeah, no, please.
Also, thank you. We love you, and we
that.
really,
Thank you so much.
legitimately, I appreciate anyone taking the time to listen to us and join us here in the club.
Yeah.
It is really and truly a pleasure.
It's so fun. And with that, thank you for listening, and we'll see you at the next meeting.